Welcome to Heart Home Community's most recent Baldwinsville Community Update. I'm your host, Shelly Hoffman. Hey, Mayor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine, waiting for a little rain. I hope we get some.
You know? I almost started like our description. It's muggy here in Baldwinsville.
You feel like what people talk about, like when you go to the Philippines or something, where you walk out the door and the sweat runs down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really heavy.
Yeah.
But we need some rain. Lawn needs a little perking up. And some of our outside flowers, I've been watering them, but it's just not the same thing as that real stuff coming from the sky. As long as, and then then you look at the poor people in Kentucky that got rain and rain and rain, and we get people lost and dead, and so I guess we should be happy.
Yeah. No, I am. When you put it in perspective like that, absolutely. It has teased a couple times. I don't know if you've been outside and just seen like the drizzle. I put my mats out to my car in the driveway, hoping that we get a downpour and I won't actually have to clean them later. So we'll see.
You're too much.
So what's been going on in our village?
Well, it's really very busy, which is good to hear. There's a lot of things going on. A lot of what I got today is kind of to focus on things that people might not know what's going on. I got a lot of it from your calendar, on the hello@hearthomecommunity.com. But there was a concert canceled for this weekend, the Friday and it was too bad because it sounded like it was a Bruce Springsteen tribute band and probably would have been very well received. But their answer was we didn't sell enough tickets ahead of time, and they've got a nut that they have to meet, and if they aren't even going to come close to that with pre-sales, then they got to do what they got to do, I guess. And some people wanting to know why there wasn't more publicity about that concert, other concerts, and it's really in the eyes of, or the duty of the promoter to promote his own events. We list different times, the schedule that we're, the most recent schedule for the next month. But some of the reaction is, well, we don't read the village Facebook page and we don't read the village website. So where can there has to be some place for us to find this stuff. I don't have an answer. I know that we had meetings back, I think before I was even mayor. So that was probably like 9 years ago. We met quite often, a couple of times at the library, and tried to come up with something that would go through the library. And it would be a schedule of all the events week by week. Well, it was a great idea to say the Christmas tree lighting, the Memorial Day parade, some of those kind of things. But then some of the restaurant owners wanted to list their specials for the week. Wednesday night will be a prime rib special. Well, you start doing that and you're going to have a schedule so long, nobody will be able to get through it. So nobody could ever come to an agreement. They weren't sure who was going to be responsible for it, because pretty much somebody was probably going to have to get paid to put it together, and nobody could quite figure out where that would come from. Some things we promote in the village, like we do promote our parade, we do promote our Christmas tree lighting, fireworks that is related to what the village has required the promoter to do the one time a year, that type of stuff. But it's hard for us to promote things that are not, that are profit making. Because if I promote, let's say I promote Joe's Pizzas having a wing special on Saturday night. Well, maybe Fred's next door is having a special too. And now I've promoted one business over another business.
Well,
so it's not a clean,
it's not. And this isn't the first conversation I'm having about that. Pre-COVID, I was involved in meetings at the library. Another group was putting it together and trying to find a way. And I know the chamber has talked about in the past, but, and this is my opinion for the chamber. So Matt, Laurentina, Mel, anybody listening, with the chamber, if you're not a chamber member, but you want the chamber to promote, people that are members might get upset or, so they're in a tough position. The library, I think, is a great place to have it hosted because most people, that's a public entity, and Meg and Nancy over there are great. But to your point, it always comes down to how do you get everybody included, and then who's going to run it. So, Rotary was involved in that. A couple other organizations were involved in it, and everybody was going to take a month. But you're really relying on a lot of people. And as you mentioned, I put together a calendar. I find things that, I talk to a certain group of people every month because we wind up the same networking events. And then I try and reach out to other ones, but, and listen to live music and trivia. But there's so much going on in Baldwinsville. To your point, if you try and list everything that's going on, it would be huge. So I don't know if there's a way to separate out restaurant calendar, event calendar. I don't know. And then how do you put all that together? But we're blessed that we have so much going on. If that's the positive spin to it all,
right? And that is the positive spin, is that there is a lot going on. That's great. And I agree. It would be nice if we had a clearinghouse where people could go on, like on Monday, and say, what's going on this week, so I can plan my calendar. There's a free concert at the island. There's this, there's, farmer's market, there's, that kind of stuff. But now somebody's going to say, well, we're having a garage sale in our neighborhood. We'd like that listed. Mm-hmm. Well, now we're going to get into every garage sale that's going on. Now you're going to have 6 or 7 garage sales. And suddenly, again, the calendar gets so big. And if you make a mistake and somebody lists, like the fireworks on the 1st of July, at like 7 o'clock, somebody was on Facebook and said, what time does the fireworks go off? I responded as the village and just said, I'm assuming at dusk, because that's typically when most of the well, that wasn't when it was going off, because he had scheduled it for 10:30 so the band could play all the way through. They're obviously trying to make money by selling more beer and more hot dogs or whatever food they have. And the longer they can go and keep people on the island, the better for business. Hey, I understand that. Yeah. But it wasn't promoted that it was going to be at 10:30. So now we say dusk. Now you got people screaming and yelling that it wasn't at dusk. Why would anybody lie about that? Nobody was lying. They didn't say what time it was. At that point, I couldn't get a hold of anybody to find out. And so I just took a guess, because all of our other fireworks shows in the village start as soon as it gets dark. So it backfired. I would have been better off saying I don't know. But people were upset because they had families. Most people assumed it was going to be when it got dark. And so people had families lining the riverbanks, different places. And now kids are starting to get edgy, and people said, we left, we never got to see them. After all, that's who the fireworks is for, is the kids, and blah, 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 blah. So, when you do calendars, you really have to have somebody who has time to double check with everybody. Does this concert start at 6 or does it start at 6:30?
Right. Well, and just to give you, in case everybody's listening, because I know Pac B's thinking about doing it as well. There's always the idea of doing it. It's just bringing it to fruition. And again, for mine, to your point, this month, world language, what's going on at the library, we had I took the event that was created by somebody else and I put it on the calendar, but we had the date wrong, the ending date. But Ben, who's in charge of that, was very nice and sent just a private message, didn't blast out on, socially, just put a private message and said, hey, the calendar looks great. Can you make this change? And when you have cooperation like that with people that recognize, hey, it's a lot of time and effort to put into it, and they send a private message as opposed to just saying, I can't believe the calendar's wrong, I can't believe this. So it takes a community to make it work as well, and accept that there's going to be hiccups along the way, but it is time consuming. So I'm really hoping, I talked to your sister, I think it would be great if Pac B or the library or whoever, but it's a group effort. It can't just be one person to put everything on that we have going on. Right. And then to your point, there's got to be room for mistakes from the community as well, because that's going to happen. And
there has to be some discernment on what's worthy of being in a calendar and what's not.
Kelly's birthday, though, is January 2nd. So that should be on every calendar. No.
And mine's January 7th. So they can celebrate time in between for both of us. But no, if I pick up a calendar and it's got 22 events, I can work my way through the week and figure out, maybe circle something and, put it on my regular calendar. But if it's got 198 events in a week, I'm probably not going to wade through it. We used to, when I worked in sports at the newspaper for 25 years, and people would say, there's a limit on how much people will read. And you write about a basketball game, a high school basketball game, and you get a certain amount. And at that point, people are starting to check out. And now you run another 10, 12 inches of story, and maybe something important down at the end. We used to have the idea that make sure you get the important things in the beginning of the story for the people who don't read the whole thing. Well, you can't do that with a calendar. I mean, it goes by date.
Yeah.
And so it would be nice if we could get a community get together and have 15 or 20 people sit around and offer some advice. Maybe some people that would say, you want to put the calendar together, I'll go through and read it afterwards and see if it makes sense. And if you give me some paperwork, I can check, make sure the times are right. It's nothing worse than saying an event goes from 3 to 7 and it really goes from 1 to 4. And by the time they get there at 5 o'clock, it's over with because we or whoever printed the wrong time. Now, people get down on the village a little bit for not doing more publicity for even our events. But we put them on our Facebook page and we run a lot of stuff on our website. And we've been told that's not good enough. Not all of us want to go on your website, and we don't all read your Facebook page. At that point, I don't know what else to do. We don't have a business in the village that says, we'll put up a screen that sends the dates. You can read them as they go by and stop at the four corners while you're waiting for the light to change and see what's going on this week. I mean,
I know that has been thrown out in different meetings that I've attended to have some type of screen in the village somewhere that kind of has a running calendar. But I don't know what that does to please, Chief Leffencheck might say we don't want people stopped in the middle of the street to read one.
Well, like St. Mary's Church and the Presbyterian Church have signs, and there was a lot of discussion about, first of all, how fast stuff could move on it. So that if you go by St. Mary's and I'll see some like fish dinner, by the time I get past the sign, I haven't seen when it is, because it's slow enough. But the last thing we want is people going like this, trying to read a sign and crashing into somebody, running over somebody trying to cross the street. So when we publish stuff in places that are our outlets, and then people tell us they don't look at those outlets, where else would you go for village events but a village site? I mean, I'm not sure that the American Legion would want people necessarily go to the village site looking for stuff. You would probably look for the American Legion post and see what it has to say. Now, it would be nice if we could get them all together. And so if anybody is really excited about it, contact Shelley. No, she'll get you to whoever's. You're more in the middle of that kind of stuff, and get to the right person or persons, or contact the library or my sister Cindy Clarke with Pac B. Everybody seems to be working. Shelley's it's a small calendar, but it really does highlight some events that most of which I had not heard of. They probably have been in the messenger. It's kind of sad. I mean, the messenger is what it is, but when Al Baker and Dick Manville ran the messenger, everything that was going on in the village was in the messenger before it happened. And so and there were calendars, there were little short blurbs, 6 or 7 little ones of events happening. Not much happened in Baldwinsville that was not in the messenger. It's changed, as all newspapers have changed. The Syracuse newspaper, when I worked my last 4 years at the paper, I covered government. So I was at a meeting Monday through Thursday just about every week. We've had a couple times Ashley from the messenger has come to our meetings. Nobody from the Syracuse Post-Standard has been to a meeting since I've been mayor. 8 years. They used to come and you would hear things. You might come looking for something big about, say, when we still had the fire department, and they might be coming, maybe there was an issue with the fire department. In the meantime, they would hear something about the police department was doing something new and different. You know, they were hiring a different kind of a officer to handle certain issues. Well, now you had a story. Baldwinsville is going to have a police officer that does this, you know, an investigator, never had one before. And people in the village knew what was going on. You could read Neighbors. You could, the regular Post-Standard, you had the Messenger, even WSCN was a local station, and they had news on, and it would include some Baldwinsville stuff. All that stuff is gone, basically. So communication has become difficult. You know, we talk in the village about, we'd like to make sure people know about, like, the Christmas tree lighting. So we post it on our page, we share it on, you know, on our Facebook page, and like once a week for 6 weeks, hoping that, you know, because after a while it gets pushed down and people don't go down looking for stuff. But I mean, I've had people tell me, you didn't have anything about this event. And the item below their comment is that event.
You can pin post to the top. So when you post about the Christmas tree lighting, you could post it to the top. So when they go to the page, it's the first thing they see.
I see my wife has done that on her page, and I
was going to say Linda would know how to do that if the.
But it's, you know, you have people say to me, we don't watch Facebook, we don't go on your website, we don't watch your meetings, and we don't watch the thing with Shelley Hoffman. I mean, okay, what else would you like us to do? I mean, I can't stand at the four corners and be the town crier 8 hours a day. And, you know,
if I got you a bullhorn. Wouldn't you have fun? We'll get you a golf cart
for a day or two. Until my wife grabbed me and yanked me out. Get out of there, you knucklehead. So
now you can. We've talked about this before. There's so many different outlets, but if whether it's PACB or the library or the group that got together in 2019 to put the count, they were pretty close. I mean, it was you know, as always, it's always the same people that seem to attend the meetings. In the beginning, it was a huge group, and it kind of whittled down a little bit. But I think a lot of it had to do with it's a lot more complicated than people think it is to put together a calendar.
Yeah. And then there becomes some cost involved at some point, and people say, who's going to pay for it? And, you know, as a village, as important as we think it is, it's hard for us to say village residents are going to pay for this thing that affects everybody in the whole community. Well, yeah. No, it would be nice if we could get the village and the two towns or somebody to say, this is where the money will come from. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. I mean, I can't imagine it's going to cost, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, but it could be a couple thousand to get a site produced, you know, some website builder to come up with something that everybody could have access to. Because, you know, the problem is not everybody's on Facebook. Not everybody, you know, is on other venues, so that you put it one place and it's only certain people are going to see it. So there's a lot to be done. It is a concern. It is not something, I'm not blowing it off. I mean, I realize, and I've realized it for a while, and yet nobody has come up with an answer. First of all, who's going to do something like that? You know, I mean, we don't have anybody in the village who's, we could say your job is for 16 hours a week now is going to be to do a calendar. And
if it comes available, Mayor, you just let me know, because I will apply for that job. That means I get to talk to everybody in the community.
Hey,
I get to know what's happening. I'd love it. But I think you're right. It will happen in its time, but I don't think it's a village, because it's not just the village. You have the town of Lysander that has a lot going on, and you have the town of Van Buren that has a ton of things going on. So it needs to be a greater Baldwinsville community calendar, not just the village. I
mean, things happen at Lysander Park, which is in the village, but it's still under the guidance of Lysander. Van Buren Park has events, you know, mud runs and things like that should be included. Yes. And so it would be important that the whole community be involved. And I'm all for it. I'll back whatever effort people want to do. I'll publicize it as much as I can. And with you and my sister and some other people pushing for it, hopefully we can, you know, at least with Pac B, I mean, that assumes people have cable.
Well, they do, but they have the YouTube, they have Facebook, they have, you know what I mean? They have, and I don't know if you saw their new icon, their new logo, but I mean, Pac B hosted the coffee talk this past week for the chamber over on Loop Road, and Skip, who, you know, I'm going to mess up his title, maybe the director, but just had some really great things in the vision that they're going to have. And Brian, who does some of the videography, and your sister were there. Rob Just is now on that board. Well, your other sister, Wendy, I think is on the board too. But just from the time I first talked to Pac B a couple years ago till now, so it's not just television anymore. And I think that's what they're going to try and start getting out to the community, is it's not just TV, because a lot of people don't have cable. But that also means they have to make some changes to their organization, because it really was all about television when it was created. I think if I misspoke on that, feel free to slap my hand, those of you watching, but I think I'm pretty accurate on that.
I think you probably are. Just a few of the things that are going on. I know the libraries, people should look at some of the resources we have. For instance, I have a Baldwinsville hat on. I got this at Shacksboro. If you're looking for a gift for somebody who's lived in Baldwinsville a long time, or somebody who used to live here and you want to send them a birthday gift, they've got a lot of great Baldwinsville type souvenirs. This one's got like canal type stuff, the old day canal, but they have all books on history of Baldwinsville and Lysander and Van Buren and farms locally. And they have a great little gift shop. And Shacksboro has a lot of events. I mean, they have the Peony Fest and the book sale, but they have speakers come in and talk about history. They have people come in and talk about their memories of Baldwinsville. So find a way to get involved with Shacksboro. I think it's $10 or $20 a year, $10 maybe for seniors, $20 a year to get on their newsletter. And in it, they send you some historical stories, but also things that are coming up. And so if you're particularly older people seem to enjoy it, because they're more into the history, at least seems like it. And they have great pictures. They have different times where they'll pick school pictures or business pictures or farm pictures, or, you know, things like that. So you can go in and wander through the museum part, and you can see display. They'll have old dresses from the 1800s, you know, just really interesting stuff. It's really the only place in Baldwinsville to see that kind of stuff. And it's nice to stay in touch with history. So Shacksboro is a great place if you're looking for something different to do. The library has an amazing calendar of things going on a regular basis. You'd have to go on the library, find their website, which shouldn't be very hard, and see what they have. Speakers, they have people that read books to kids, all kinds of things going on down there. And if you don't take advantage of it, you're selling yourself and the library short. For instance, every Thursday, now you have to call the library to find out details. What, you know, how much is it free? How much? I mean, how basic is the information? But it's computer help. So, you know, you're on your computer and you can never get to websites you want to look at. Every time you do it, something happens. Well, somebody there might say, yeah, you might need a little bit better laptop, or need to install this program. Here, let's see if we can find it. Oh, look, there it is. That's the one you're talking. Okay, you know, so and again, it's particularly helpful for seniors, but anybody who has problems with computers and doesn't have a 10-year-old around to show them how to do it, you know. Yep. So again, check with the library. They're having a Magic Man down there on the 15th of this month. Jeff the Magic Man. I don't have a starting time because I didn't see a time, but again, call the library and ask them when the magician's going to be on, and you can go. Sweet Treat Candy Shop. Who knew they're having an art camp on the 15th, yeah. The same day.
They're teaming up with Right Mind Syracuse, which isn't a Beeville thing, but Right Mind Syracuse puts on a lot of events, and they really have taken a liking to the Baldwinsville area. So I think we're going to see a lot of teaming up between Right Mind Syracuse and places like Sweet Dream. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was excited about that one.
Well, I'm glad, because I didn't have much information, but It's 12:30 to 2:30 at the candy shop. And always nice thing about it is when you get done, you can buy some candy.
Candy.
WT Brews on the 13th is having a fundraiser for Helping Hounds, which is a rescue thing for dogs. And, you know, so if you're into that kind of stuff, you don't know where to contribute, stop down, have a beer and a whatever they offer for snacks. At Church on the Island every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, which is non-denominational. Anybody can show up. It's like a half hour, 45 minutes, and it's over with. But it's a beautiful sight. You're out in the middle of the river. So it's, you know, something that people kind of forget about. It's the farmers market every Tuesday from 3 to 7 at the square. And they've been getting a lot of vendors. So that's great. Nice. And, you know, it used to be every Tuesday night was a free concert. This summer, it's been a little more scattered. But if you check, you can go to the farmer's market, pick up some stuff, and then wander out on the island if that happens to be the night of a concert and see a free concert. We had a meeting the other night with the Little League, which is over on Downer Street, just past North Country Produce. And that's another one of those things. I don't think people realize what a great group it is. They had their spring session, and Little League now has gone from being a summer sport generally to being more spring. You know, they start up in April and run through June because they know people like to take vacations, and they have all-star teams and stuff like that. But they had 652 people play baseball and softball. Wow. That's huge. Awesome. Yeah. And, you know, they have had all-star champions in 10 and under, 11 and under. The 11 under team was the section champ and went to the state tournament. It's one of the real gems of our community that probably most people don't pay much attention to. They drive by and maybe see the fields back there, but don't really know what they are. And years ago, Cecil Reeves, who was the chairman of the board as far as Reeves Farms, I mean, he founded the farms and stuff, came to the village and said, I've got some property that's farmland over on Downer Street. I'd like the village to run the property. You don't have to run the Little League, but just be in charge of the property, take care of it. And so with the cooperation of the two towns, we agreed to do it. And I guess it will stay that way until such time as there's no Little League. Then it would revert back to the Reeveses to do whatever they want to do with it. But they come in because there's a committee made up of a representative from Lysander, from Van Buren, from the village, an at-large member, a member of the Reeves family, and then there's two representatives from the Little League board. And just to talk about what's going on over there, we just did the parking lot, oil and stone, and it was in rough shape in a couple spots, so we did the whole parking lot. And so that's all picked up. They've had some security issues over there. If anybody ever sees headlights back in the back of the Little League field at midnight, don't hesitate to call 911 and say, I don't guess that's for baseball because there's no lights on the fields. Yeah. They have bins there where they throw bottles on for the Saturday games, and people have been taking bottles out of the bins. And they use that to support the program. So they're looking for little help. They want to paint and stain the concession building in their garage. It's not a huge amount of work. They have to buy the stain, which is a special kind of stain for it's a couple $100. So, you know, if anybody out there is a big supporter, believer in Little League baseball and would like to help paint or help buy the stain, you could get a hold of me at Village Hall, and I'd get you in touch with the Little League people. If you want to put up some advertising all along the outfield, they have, you know, there's signs constantly, you know, for different businesses, which is kind of cool. But they've got, you know, many fields. There's at least 5 or 6 fields over there. So if anybody would like to sponsor, they're pretty excited about changes. They're trying to upgrade all their fields to make some of them qualify for state tournaments where they could bring in teams from all over the state. And they're looking at how that would benefit the community. Right. Because if there's a tournament maybe Thursday through Sunday, well, people got to stay somewhere. They got to eat dinner, have breakfast, that type of thing. Maybe stop at a drugstore and pick up some sunscreen and, things like that the local businesses should benefit. So if anybody has some time and is interested in Little League Baseball, I'm sure they would love to hear from you. And again, contact me. I'll get you a hold of them. And it's really cool to go over there when a couple of the fields are going at the same time and there's kids and you hear, I had a bet, way to go pitch, way to go pitch, and people are yelling and kids are excited and they try to teach them the right way to play baseball and manners and that type of stuff. So
yep.
It was a very interesting conversation with the Little League people, and they'd like to grow, but they really, at this point, it's hard to grow because they're pretty well hemmed in on all sides. But they have, if you look at that layout, they've got some fields put in there that would surprise people how many fields are actually back there. There's a couple of them they can't use, like on Wednesday night or Sunday morning, because the church that is on Downer Street, it's actually part of their property is being used, and the Little League has told them we won't interfere with your church services. So, which is a nice cooperation.
Oh,
and if you ask the church for a break, then the church asks you for a break, and it works nice. So that's something that particularly an older retired guy who loves baseball. I mean, go over there and help take care of the fields, and they're always looking for help. I'm trying to see. Oh, Canton Woods got a few things going on. Monday is the car show. That's one of the big fundraisers of the year, and it's usually outstanding. 40 to 50 classic cars. Great food. Food this year is going to be provided by Canal Side Bistro and Cafe. Nice. And so you're not just getting a hot dog. I mean, you're probably going to get something that's fairly nice. They have beautiful raffles. Most of the businesses in the village, there'd be some with a bottle of wine and a gift certificate to a restaurant, and so, they have a table just full of raffle items. And George Leah, who's a local guy who's a very good singer, he's going to be the entertainment. So get to see some cars, hear some good music, have something good to eat, maybe win a raffle. It's from 5 to 7:30 on Monday. If it rains, it'll be the following Monday. But it's a great night. And again, it doesn't cost you anything to get in. They usually have ice cream for sale, that type of stuff. The Rotary Senior Citizen Summer Picnic will be at Canton Woods on the 24th from 4 to 5:30. The Rotary provides what's like a picnic, but it's inside, and always a nice event. Seniors love it. You have to reserve a spot by the 19th of August, so call the Senior Center. And there's activities, entertainment series continues next Friday, the 12th, with Larry Serafini and Son. It'll be an outdoor concert if the weather's good, so bring a lawn chair. And then they have a lot of programs, the Senior Nutrition Lunch Program, Food Sense, the Produce Box Program. Actually, I have to say we did that last week, and it was almost too much produce in it for us. My wife couldn't use it fast enough, so that is a nice amount for people. And the Farmers Market Coupon Program, which can be used at the Farmers Market in Beeville. All that at 638-4536 for information. And the first ever Canton Woods Golf Tournament, September 12th at the Woods. I'm not sure where the golf tournament is. I forgot. But it's September 12th. Contact the center. And the Walk for the Woods is September 17th, Saturday morning. You walk from the woods up into McCary Town, up to I don't remember what it's called now, but it was always Syracuse Home when I was there after my hip surgery. And usually some of the seniors are outside, and they'll have a snack, a granola bar and a bottle of water for the walkers. And then you walk back and you get sponsors ahead of time. If I walk this, you'll give me $10. And it's nice. All these events help offset the cost of running the center. The two towns contribute, and it's always just a few $1,000s short. And so these events help make up some of the difference. So you're doing some good for a lot of people.
Well, I think, I mean, again, I hear, because you and I talk about it, you know, once a month, twice a month, but it's amazing how much Canton Woods has going on all the time. So you could see why maybe they need some additional funding. I'm sure they could stay within that budget, but then they wouldn't have everything to offer the seniors of our community that they actually do.
Right. So. And you can't get help from, like, legislators can't make donations to help you with programs.
Right.
They can help you with other stuff like getting more people to work or that type of thing, but you can't pay for somebody to come in and talk type of stuff. So, so we've got the Little League for the kids, we've got Canton Woods for the seniors, and a calendar for everybody else.
We got Margarita Fest and Seneca River Days, and All Chocolat is going to be coming up again this fall. I saw that there was an email for that planning. So there's just, again, people probably get so sick of hearing me say it. There's just always something going on for all ages here. Somebody I was talking to, her son was doing kickball at Lysander Park. And, you know, they only had so many kids, so the teams worked out a little bit different. But she said he had an absolute ball over there playing in that league or on that day. So I love it. But it doesn't take a genius to know I love where I live. So I just happen to.
Well, we're glad you live here. You do add a lot to our community. This type of stuff, I know you had Bob Wicks on. You have the chief next week. And you have other people in between, you know, just a one-time type deal. And again, the communication and the ability for people to see something that maybe they wouldn't be exposed to or hear about any other place. Now, people will say, I don't have time to watch this. Well, but it's on your site. It's there for a long time. I mean, it'll be there tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So if you go on Heart, Home, and Community, you'll see people talking about financial planning and all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, you've talked to people from different walks of life that you win the award for, I don't know what award, but you win it.
I will tell you that Home Depot thought I won the award for pain in the butt today. So.
Oh, well, let's not go there.
But I am, well, as you know, I always love talking with you. Is there anything else to add, or what's going on in the community on your list?
I don't think so. We just had one of our longtime public works employees retire, Paul Ashbury, who people might have seen. He used to drive our sweeper. So if you saw the street sweep out in the mornings, it would be Paul. The guy who plowed the downtown sidewalks in the wintertime, drove the little plow, was Paul Ashbury. Really talented, hardworking guy. He's going to retire and enjoy the good life. He and his wife are going to head off to Florida and for at least part of the year. And it's sad to see people go, but it's nice to know that, you know, they had a job long enough that they could probably save up some money and enjoy retirement. So best to Paul, and you know, just don't want too many people retiring right away. Hard to replace good people.
It is, absolutely. So, all right, well, Mayor, enjoy the rest of this muggy day, and I will talk with you soon.
Okay, Shelley.
Bye.